So I'm just going to put this out here for the folks who are asking the questions in regards to DIY. The question was, what should you leave to the pros when renovating? And maybe in amongst these comments, we can actually give a bit of feedback too. Maybe from the perspective of we are the professionals, what would we kind of recommend to folks that are doing DIY? I bet we've all been to jobs where someone's tried the DIY work and failed miserably, and we've had to fix it. Um, just a quick my default fix miter is awesome, about a year old now, but I've already had to get brushes and the slider part replaced. Oh, okay, that's interesting. How much use were you doing? You using it every day? Um, like, I mean, I haven't really been using mine every day, so mine kind of still feels in quite good condition. Um, so yeah, for the DIY scenario, the question, what should you leave to the pros when renovating? And I think my first thoughts on that was, how much knowledge of the building code does the DIYer have? Um, and any kind of renovation work, um, whether it's restricted building work or not, has to be done according to the building code. So if, as a DIYer, you don't have an understanding of the building code, then you're probably going to need to get in contact with a professional and at least get some advice to start with. So that's the first thing. Um, any there's a so in New Zealand you've got building code, but there's a if you Google NZ building code Schedule One kind of lays out the things that you can do without which isn't called restricted building work. So it's the sort of work that you don't need a building consent for, and you technically don't need a licensed building practitioner to supervise that work as well. And it's only for residential, not for commercial buildings. So any residential building, there's quite a few different categories, and there's a few examples as well um, for those types of work. So that would be the next step, is have a look at Schedule 1, Google it, Schedule 1 Building Code New Zealand or something like that, and it'll highlight the different areas that you can do without a consent or without the supervision of LBP. But you have to do it according to the building code. So that's the step before. You got to know the building code or have access to the building code and understand what the building code is. So if you don't know that, then it's very limited what you can truly actually do properly when renovating your house. Now, I don't think insurance companies are that heavy-handed on it yet, but I get the feeling like there could be some changes coming, and maybe they do need to. Yeah. So the other side of it is you can actually get a owner builder's exemption. Now, this is all just advice. Don't I guess I can't be bound to this kind of advice. So if you can't do something wrong and you say, "Well, Chris said da 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 da," please don't do that. I'm just trying to give you a bit of guidance, but not actual direct advice. Um, but this is all from the internet. It's just that I guess I know how to find this stuff because I know the wordings to use. So you can get the owner builder exemption. So if you want to build your own house, or if you want to renovate your own house, um, and it is restricted building work, and you need a consent, then you can get the owner builder exemption, which you're only eligible if you live in or are going to live in the home, and this includes a bachelor or holiday home. You carry out the restricted building work to your own home yourself or with the help of your unpaid friends and family members. Have not used the owner builder exemption to carry out restricted building work to any other home in the previous 3 years. So, and the other side of it too is that the exemption will show in the LIM report. So if you go to sell the place and someone sees it that you have done the work yourself with that exemption, they may be a bit more critical of the quality or work, and they may want a whole lot more information and a whole lot more clarity, and to find confidence that you've actually done the work properly. But that's how you can do it without having to pay an LBP to do it. But there is a bit of a strict criteria, and you've got to apply for it. When it comes to plumbing work, drain laying, gas fitting, I had a look at the Plumbers, Gas Fitters and Drain Layers Board website under the Consumers section. So that's pgdb.co.nz and click on Consumers. and there's a whole lot of information about what you can do as a homeowner to your plumbing and drain laying. So basically, restricted sanitary plumbing work. So this is it's the way it's worded. Let's go down to the bottom first. What sanitary plumbing does not include? Okay, people who are not licensed plumbers can undertake some basic tasks. Work that is not defined as restricted sanitary plumbing. Work includes the installation of appliances such as dishwashers and washing machines, changing tap washers, and replacement or repair of taps, ball valves, and plugs. Now, if you know what those are, that's the scale of work that you can do as a homeowner who's not licensed when it comes to plumbing. Some of the things that you can't do is basically is work any work involved in fixing or unfixing any pipe, plumbing fixture or appliance, including a trap, waste or soil pipe, ventilation pipe or overflow pipe, and any pipe that supplies or is intended to supply water. Now, I was quite surprised at that. That's sometimes you think, oh, we go undo that, sweet as, but there's not a lot you can actually do if you're not a licensed plumber. When it comes to drain laying, it's basically the same kind of stuff. The only stuff that you can really do is work including clearing blocked drains, however, only if this does not involve altering or repairing the inspection pipe or ventilation pipe in any way. So if you're doing DIY work, pretty much you're going to have to ring a plumber to do most of your plumbing work. You can't do any of it. That's what it says. That's what I read. So to clarify, you can go to pgdb.co.nz and have a look under the consumer section and clarify what sort of work you can do. So going back to the question, in gas fitting, basically the only type of gas fitting with gas work that you can work on is the likes of a barbecue or a patio heater. Anything else, don't go there. So that goes back to the question, what should you leave to the pros when renovating? So if you're doing DIY, there's a lot you can do. There's also a heck of a lot you can't do. And just to recap, you've got Schedule 1. Well, you've got to know what the building code is first. You've got to know how to read the building code if you're going to attempt non-restricted building work. Then you've got Schedule 1, which actually clarifies what non-restricted or unrestricted building work is. Then you've got owner-builder exemption, so you can do restricted building work on your own house with the help of your unpaid friends. And then you've got the plumbing and drain laying and gas fitting where you can barely do anything. So I would say any renovation work or DIY work, at least give a builder a call and explain to them what you're doing. You want to do the DIY work yourself and you're prepared to pay them for a consultation to come and have a look and give you advice on what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. It's quite important because if you don't do it right, I mean, why would you do that to your investment? Why would you do that to your house? I've been and done a renovation where you rip the ceiling off and there used to be a wall there. Here's the studs. They've just cut the wall out and then lined over it. There's no beam or anything. And you just imagine that, we've had decent earthquakes in Christchurch, but I mean, hey, if a decent earthquake hit Nelson, I mean, would that building still be standing? You gotta weigh it up. Yeah, it costs a lot of money to employ professionals to do it, but they're professionals for a reason. Builders have to do about 4 years of an apprenticeship. There's about I can't think of the cost, at least 4 or 5 grand's worth of investment of money, and then there's the time spent doing the bookwork outside of work. And that's not just to actually be able to get a job, it's actually the profession. And if they've been doing it for 10 years or more, generally speaking, they're going to have experience. And I guess it's just the way it is. I mean, if you want to be hard out DIY, then maybe you actually want to be in the trade. Maybe you want to be a builder. Maybe. But I'm absolutely fine if you want to DM me. If you're watching the replay of this and you want to ask any questions, you're more than welcome to. I can kind of point you in the right direction. Again, I don't want to go too far as giving you advice and then you do something and it all goes pear-shaped and you said, Chris, you told me. But yeah, I can give you some guidance, I think, and where to look in the right places and maybe some tradespeople up and down the country that you can ask. So that was one of the questions that was asked about. What do we got here? So just find yourself a couple of mates that are tradies and get at mates rates. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's actually a really clever way to do it. When I know of a house just near us where they did that. They just worked in the weekends. They did it no payment, and they're builders, so they can just do it. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, hey, it's still not quite the same as the owner builder exemption, because you've got builders who probably are LVPs anyway. But at least they know what they're doing. Um, Actually, I think they didn't, because it was just owner builder. I think they got away with the health and safety side of things, so they didn't have scaffold or handrails either. So there you go. Maybe that's something for you. Naughty. There we go. Yeah. So what do you guys reckon? Since it's a bit of a discussion with builders here, maybe some stuff for these DIY folks that want to give it a go themselves, but maybe some I don't know, some tips and advice for them. Yeah, maybe. No, okay. I think you guys are all just on holiday mode. Yeah, it's interesting, eh? Like, it's like I think when the LVP system came in, so the licensed building practitioner system came in, there was a lot of talk about not limiting the Kiwi dream, where you do the DIY, where you build your own house, where you renovate your own house, and that's where they brought the owner builder exemption in. So I do feel that those who are attempting DIY and renovation work do have some element of experience with building work. I think the important thing is that they consider the I guess the working with the structure of a building, and actually it's not just about building it the right way, but even the process about going about it. You don't just cut a wall out and leave it hanging. You've got to support the wall before you cut it out, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's where the level of skill that a professional has goes beyond someone who is a weekend warrior, so to speak, when it comes to DIY work, where that's all they're doing is maybe a weekend here or there, hammering some nails and cutting a bit of timber or something. Um, and I do remember like watching the block. I haven't watched the block. I didn't watch the last series of block. Um, but I remember watching one series, and I was quite surprised by how little the contestants were able to do. A lot of it was basically paying builders to do the work. And I think that kind of is a sign of where it is kind of headed. Actually, I sent a text message to the electrician too, just to add to all that, and I asked him what things a homeowner can do, and he said the regulations have changed, and they pretty much can't do anything. So maybe a bit of clarification from other Sparkies what they've experienced there. Um, but I do understand that even doing back-to-backs on PowerPoints is starting to be frowned on as well. Um, so he was a little bit. I think he must have been just going away on holiday and wasn't in a mood to talk. But yeah. So there is a lot of limitations on DIY work. But if you can get in, get a few mates, like Tommy said, get a few mates in, then yeah, it should be sweet. Should be right. Because if you're going to do it DIY, then sweet, go for it. Give it a go. Um, yeah. We've got 20 seconds left, so thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoy your Easter weekend, and if you've got the 10-day weekend happening, have fun, take care of yourself, watch out on the roads. Sorry those that are joining in, we've got 3 seconds left. See ya.